Okay, I think we're live on Facebook. I'm hoping we're live on Facebook. And anybody that's here, thanks so much for joining us. Scott Silverian, Director of Industry Relations with Sierra Interactive. Very special guest today. I hope, as everybody's been following the Facebook posts in our mastermind, we've got Karl Freund here, and a lot of you have seen him post about what he's doing on the Sierra site and the success he's having. And everybody's like going crazy and like, Karl, man, can I get some of your time? Hey, man, can I DM you and all this stuff? And I figured, you know what? Let's just have a conversation with Karl. He is one of the nicest guys I've ever met and is completely ready to open his entire playbook to us. So this may be the first of a couple of conversations. I haven't mentioned that to Karl yet, but yeah, you know, we'll see how far we get here and what everybody's feedback is, and then kind of take it from there. So Karl, you put a post up a couple of weeks ago with a screenshot. Yes. I think it was your Google Analytics, which really got a lot of attention from everybody.
Yeah,
and rightfully so. So tell us a little bit about. Well, first of all, you're at a brokerage in Phoenix, Arizona. So let's get your location first. So if people have referrals and things like that, I'd love to make that connection. Give us your background and what you're doing with Sierra.
So background, you know, I've been in real estate for 25 years. I took a little bit of a hiatus, had to get a little side job, 2009, just to kind of make it through. And I ended up at a digital marketing company, which was one of the best experiences that I've had. Pay was terrible, right? But paid the bills for the short time, but I learned a ton. And so it kind of opened up my eyes to how much traffic there was on the internet. And I'm like, and think about this, this is 2009. So, you know, you're just in the very beginning part of Facebook.
Yep.
MySpace was still a thing, right? You know, and Google search had not really been monetized very well. And Google PPC specifically wasn't really a thing yet. So AdWords was in the very early stages of development. And it was just such a unique time to be in real estate. And so I created a WordPress site for real estate and used like an IDX plugin, which was terrible. You know, you're talking about what, gosh, 16, 17 years ago, you know? And so technology's come a long way, especially with Sierra. But we were ranking very well organically. And I kind of figured out how to do SEO at a very, very early stage. And I kind of messed with some different tools. You know, I went to Real Geeks and spent, you know, a bunch of time, 2 years at Real Geeks, and just wasn't in love with the platform, didn't love the user interface, and just, there were some things that just didn't do. And so that's when I found Sierra. So I think I signed up with Sierra, and you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, Scott, but I think it was like 2018.
Okay.
And dude, I'm just a nerd, you know, like I've got no personal life. And so it's just like, let me just double down on content. And so that's exactly what I did. So what I did was I really focused on the Phoenix metro area first. So we've got, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we have 6 MLSs integrated into Sierra. So we've got Phoenix Metro, which is AR MLS. We've got Northern Arizona, Tucson, RE Colorado, which is Denver Metro, Pikes Peak, which is going to be kind of like the Colorado Springs area, and then also Steamboat Springs, and I think that's it, right? And yeah, Southern Arizona. So, you know, like 6 or 7 MLSs, whatever it is. And so I started building out community pages, and that's really where we started to get a bulk of that traffic. So it was kind of I focused on a long tail keyword search. So if somebody's searching in Phoenix for anything like Phoenix homes for sale on a golf course, or Scottsdale homes for sale on a golf course, or Scottsdale open houses, or houses within walking distance to Old Town of Scottsdale. And what started to happen is I started to see a lot of traffic. And so it was a lot of positive reinforcement. And so I just went ham and I just went nuts. And I started building out a ton of community pages. And I think, I'll tell you exactly how many. I want to say I've got about 2,900 today.
Wow. Holy cow.
Let me go to my content pages and I'll tell you exactly. So I've got 2,808. And, you know, that's kind of where we pick up bulk of our traffic. And so it's not rocket science. It just takes work. And a lot of people aren't really willing to put the work in. And so I was thinking about it this morning. I'm like, what do I want to say in this thing? You know, I remember back in like 2015, 2016, especially, even lately, people are like, dude, SEO is dead. And I'm just like, okay, you can have your opinion.
Yeah.
And everybody's trying to talk me out of it. And they're like, you'll never compete with Zillow, and you never compete with Redfin, and you never compete with Trulia. Okay. And so I just kind of took that and I kind of put that in my pocket. And I used that negative energy as fuel to push me to create a lot of great pages. And that's exactly what we did. And so I haven't shared this with you, Scott, but I use SEMrush as one of my tools.
Yep.
Well, we just passed Redfin locally here in terms of visibility, and so it can be done. And I think one of the biggest things that people need to understand is that you got to be hyper local. And so Zillow is very good at the macro, right? Mm-hmm. They're very good at the searching across big cities and big states, and that's their niche, right? So where's your competitive advantage as an agent? It's like, well, you know your market better than anybody else. You know your market better than Zillow. So go out and create great local content. And what it means specifically by that is create community pages. And so for Phoenix is kind of a really good example because it's very easy to find neighborhoods. And so, we'll use like Gilbert, Arizona as an example, Agritopia. People are going to search Agritopia homes for sale. It's kind of a unique community, or Power Ranch homes for sale, or McCormick Ranch homes for sale, Scottsdale, Arizona, or some variation of that. And so what I did is I basically created those community pages and put a lot of content about living in the community, what it's like to, be there, the pros and cons. And I didn't use AI for any of this stuff, right? And that's very important to understand, is that you're going to be tempted to use chat. You're going to be tempted to use Gemini. And are they great tools? Absolutely. Do they create decent content? Absolutely. But they aren't you. And so I want you to create content that is driven by you and your persona, because I think your personality needs to come through in the writing. And so talk about a condo community, why it's a great place or not a great place, right?
Okay.
Like, we don't need to be rosy cheeks all the time. Like, if a condo community sucks, Scott, tell me that it's not good, as a consumer. Like, I want the full truth. And I think by doing that, you're going to build trust and authority. And those are kind of the two requirements to have a business transaction happen, right? You need to trust the other person, you need to have some kind of authority. And so that's exactly what Google's looking for, is trust and authority, and just be an expert in the area. So don't try to go too macro. So
if I could stop you right there, because a lot of people, there's obviously a lot of talk about all the LLMs and how to leverage them. So even today, you're not using any of the LLMs for any of your content at all.
We don't.
Okay.
We don't. And we've been very tempted to, because it'd be so easy just to drop in Gemini, hey, give me content for these 30 communities, and here's what I want.
Sure.
And make it sound human, make it sound original. But all you're doing is recycling somebody else's content. All the LLMs do is go out there and research other people's content, distill it down, and then reconstitute it. Right. And so it's not going to reflect you. And that's what people want, is authenticity. And so I think the way to win in 2026 and moving on is with authenticity. And so we're starting to see AI videos that I'm questioning if that's a real video or not.
Right. Yep.
Like, there's a couple of rabbis I follow, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if that's an actual rabbi or if that's like an AI version of this rabbi.
Right.
It's so good and so polished. And so if you can get, especially if you get on video and really be your authentic self, even if it's not perfect on video, you're going to win versus this polished, ultra refined AI studio video. Even this that I'm doing right now, it's too much. Like, I don't know where my phone is, around here somewhere. Just use this, right? Just turn this thing around and just talk into it. It's the single best tool that we've ever been given, is this thing. And it's authentic. And so it doesn't need to be overly produced. Matter of fact, I don't want it to be overly produced. Matter of fact, I'd rather see just authentic conversation. Like, you're a human being. You're going to make mistakes. It's all good.
Yeah.
So create authentic content. Don't use LLMs if you can avoid it, right? Like, if you need a little bit of a bump to get it going, maybe use it as a framework. Mm-hmm. Maybe do the background research for it, but don't use it for the actual content. I think I'd like to show you, I'm going to give you everything, right? So don't judge me by the 8,000 screens I have open.
Okay, go for it. I think our audience is ready to jump into the meat and really hear about what you're doing today and
cool.
how you're making.
So let me start with maybe site structure first, because I think let's build the foundation, right? And then let's build on top of that foundation. I'll show you how I kind of built it out.
Okay. And
I'm not saying that, dude, I'm the best web developer in the world, because I'm not, right? There's guys that are way better than I am, but I will at least allow to share screen. Yes. I will at least get you pointed in the right direction. So
perfect.
Hopefully you can see my screen now.
Yep, it's coming up.
Okay, cool. So let me get you to my website first of all, and you guys can go check it out. It's just KennethJamesRealty.com. And when I registered the domain, 15 or so, whatever years ago, that was like the only one. It's a long domain. Okay, so let's look at the top first. Okay, so let's just go Phoenix Metro. I'm gonna go to Phoenix because Phoenix is gonna be the more macro piece of this thing. And so here's what we got. So breadcrumbs are very important here. So I've got home, Phoenix Metro, Phoenix, homes for sale in Phoenix. And I created these little search bar menus, quick menus, and they do really well when you're looking at it on mobile. So let's look at it, what it would look like on mobile here. And you guys can kind of see how it shrinks down, and it is very, very convenient for somebody that's operating mobile, which is like, we can look and see, but I think it's probably 80% of my traffic now.
Sure. Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
These quick searches here, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom. And then I've got the neighborhoods. So if you look, let me just click on Arcadia. So I want you to look at the URL. Very important. All right. So KennethJamesRealty.com/Phoenix/Arcadia homes for sale. And then I've got it broken down by, the thing here. And so what I've done is I usually put the listings up here at the top, and then I'll do content underneath it. Right. And so your H1 tags are really, really important. So I need you to understand that the H1 tags here need to be super dialed in. If you've got more content, you need to structure it correctly. Mm-hmm. H1 is going to be first. That's your big topic. H2 would be your second topic. H3, H4, H5, etc. And so that's really, really important to understand. And so
quick question for you before you move off that, because I've seen people doing it multiple different ways, right? Like some people do the content first and then the search down the bottom. You're doing it search first, content down the bottom. What's your theory behind that?
Dude, yeah, because I'm going to find you. So if your goal is you've got content on top, right? Because you're like, oh, I want to rank well for search. You got to put it at the bottom because you got to act like a consumer, not a search bot. That's the key, right? It's always consumer driven. How can I make this easier for the consumer? And so,
if I'm hearing you correctly, you want how it shows to be consumer driven, but the content to be search engine driven.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%. So it should always be consumer focused.
Yeah.
And Google understands that too. Google understands that. So if your experience is not good and people are bouncing off a page because it's difficult to search and they're not getting what they want within, like real quick, it should be like above the fold, right, in your phone, which means that that's the first thing you see is like listings.
Right.
Like you're going to have these listings right away. And it's got to be really easy to sort them. So, you can just sort by, lowest price first. And that's usually the way people search is my estimation.
Yeah.
But you can come through, we have listings for $1. I'll buy 6.
Yeah.
But you can come through here and then you can start to see, all the listings. And so you got to think like a consumer, and you're competing against Zillow, who's got way more content than you'll ever have, way more domain authority than you'll ever have. And they don't show any content at the top, right? Like, dude, make it super easy for the consumer. And you're going to rank. If you're worried about ranking, don't worry about ranking. Put the content at the bottom. It's going to work just fine. Okay. I promise.
And regarding the breadcrumbs and the URLs, I mean, obviously Sierra gives you the ability to customize those as you're building these pages out. So you can really design the structure the way you want it.
Yeah, correct. And that's a big win. And so a lot of other web providers don't do that.
Right.
And so you got to have the site structure correctly. So let me do one more thing for you too, because I think this is important. And a lot of people are like, we got to separate condos out and stuff like that. So what I did here is I did a little bit different. And so if you look at my URL now, I said KennethJamesRealty.com/Phoenix Arizona Condominiums/Phoenix Arizona Condominiums for sale. And that site structure is really important because then when you go back through here, clicking on 1-bedrooms/Phoenix Arizona Condominiums/1-bedroom condos for sale in Phoenix, right? You got to have that URL correct. Otherwise, Google's going to be like, it's just a mess. That's really, really important. Like if I can give you one tip today, that's site structure.
Okay.
If you get site structure right, you're going to be ahead of like 50% of the people already. And then you add good content in, you're going to crush it.
Yeah. And to your point, like that's the foundation. Once you design your site structure, it's just copying that as you're building out pages.
It is. So yeah. So I go through here. Let me just show you my back end. I mean, this is my content. See it in CMS. Right? So you can see in here, page title. This is when I updated it. And look how old that page is. It's almost 3 years old. I haven't updated that page in 3 years. 3 years, and it ranks really, really well. Let's just find out. And dude, I might make a complete idiot of myself here. Let's just see what happens. Sponsored results. Bam. I'm number 3 organic.
Nice.
I'm number 3. I'm ahead of Realtor and Trulia, right? So like in homes, homes.com spends hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and I'm beating them paying $1,000 a month or $1,200 a month to Sierra
All day long.
all day. Do you think it's a good ROI?
Yeah, right.
So that's the thing, right? So you can go back through here and you can see all the different community pages I've built out, and make sure that the site structure is correct. That's the biggest thing, is going back through here. You got different sections for everything. So I think I can show you the sections that I have. I do. So I want you to look at this, and you can, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, you can probably go back and watch the replay. But look at all of the sections that I've got and how I've got them structured. Littleton, Colorado. Levine, Arizona. Oro Valley, Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got them all done. Yeah, it's very consistent. It's very, very consistent. And these shorter ones that you see here, like Denver Metro and stuff like that, I've got like specialty pages for those. Flagstaff, Fort Collins. But it should say Fort Collins, Colorado. But Kierland is like a page, so it's like a neighborhood inside of Phoenix. But you can come through here and you can see, I guess I kind of shorted on this. I probably built this page a couple of years ago, but I'm guessing we're going to rank pretty well. We're probably not. Let's see. Oh, I'm number 1. I'm number 1. That's just okay. So what's great too is that you start to see these AI overviews. I will tell you right away that we're starting to get leads from ChatGPT. And so ChatGPT is actually referencing our website as an authority, so it's a real thing. And it takes time. Like, don't expect this stuff to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. Can it happen quickly? Yes. It can happen very quickly, but you got to put the work in. And so, that's where those 2,800 pages came from, and the 70 sections that I've got here, right? And then look how many saved searches I've got. It's probably 3,000 is my guess. Yeah, 29, almost 3,000 searches.
Wow.
And I did all of those by hand. And look, these are map searches by Polygon.
Wow.
Most of these are, because the MLS is kind of limited, and a lot of agents put the marker in the wrong spot, or they'll tag the community wrong. And so you want to do by map search by Polygon. That's another really big tip. I would love to show you my leads, but I can't because of the personal information there. There's roughly about 60,000 leads that we've generated on this website. And we are spending money on Google AdWords. So let me just show you a couple of things first.
Sure.
And then,
please.
We'll kind of get into it. So here's my Google search console report. And this is, we'll go back through and just look at the last year. Now we look at the last 3 months. So last 3 months, 51,000 clicks organically. This is not paid traffic. This is just organic traffic. And you can see through here how many clicks we're getting a day. So this past Sunday, 681 clicks, about 70,000 organic impressions on Google alone. That's Google alone. You can add in Bing, you can add in DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, you still see some random stuff in AOL. Like the people that are 95 years old are still using an AOL account, probably dial up, that's the thing. So, but I want you to look at a couple different things here. Number 1, my average click-through rate is statistically higher than you think it would be for a local site. And I think it's because we just rank very well and we have good authority. And my average position here is 11. Across the board, across all the pages that I've got. So it means probably more than 50% of the time I'm showing up on the first page for any kind of search related to the content that we have on the website. And so how much is 50,000 clicks worth? Depends on the market. Right.
I know you don't have your, you can pull this up in Sierra, so don't worry about doing it now, but ballpark, how many of those impressions are turning into leads for you? Like actual Sierra leads in your database?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, we generate roughly 15 organic leads a day. And then I'll show you my Google ad account in a minute. And then you can crank that up as much as you want. But I don't have a lead generation problem, Scott. I've got a lead conversion problem. So my constraint in my business is not lead generation, it's the conversion of those leads.
Yep.
And so I'm middle of funnel. And so I always want you to look at your constraint in your business too. And that's one thing I want you to spend 80% of your time on is, if I gave you more leads, would you have more business? I think 99.9% of realtors would say yes. I'm in that 0.1% where I'm like, dude, I do not need any more leads. We don't need more leads. We need more bodies to work those leads. So for example, if we're generating 1,000 leads a month between paid and organic, that's 10 phone calls. So it's 10,000 phone calls, right? Because you're doing a phone call every day for 10 days. That's 10,000 or more texts. And that's probably 15,000 plus emails. Now there's a way to automate those, but I don't really like automating a lot of those, especially phone calls.
Right.
Because I think that voice to voice is going to be that conversion. The conversion, 99% of the conversion happens voice to voice. Yes, there are a few that will convert over text. Very, very few convert over email. It's just really getting into the email box. One tip: before you even pick up the phone, I want you to send an email from your Gmail account. And in your Gmail account, I want you to have your name and your phone number as the signature. It needs to be a proper signature. What's going to happen is when you call somebody's iPhone, or I'm sure it does on Android too, it'll say maybe Karl Freund, right? And so the pickup rate
because they've gotten that email from you, and Google's seeing that and bringing it up on the iPhone.
Correct. And now they're pulling it out of your email and saying this might be Karl Freund calling, and your pickup rate will be 50x. 50x. So first thing, send an email. Second thing, phone call. Leave a voicemail if you want to, if you're good at voicemails. Third thing, send a text. And I call it 10 days of success, right? So you want to do a call, email, text every day for, in that cadence, for 10 days straight. And so that's kind of what you want to do at a minimum. But then you're still dropping off. And keep in mind too that we still, to this day, have leads that have signed up in 2020, 6 years ago, that we still communicate with and we still convert. And ironically, those leads convert at the same rate as the new leads, which is about 1.5 to 2%. So if I generate 100 good leads, I'm converting 2% of that. And so you had asked a question just a minute ago and I kind of got off track. What was your question exactly? Not to put you in the spot, but
what are the how many? Well, I asked how many leads are you getting from that from those conversions that we're seeing?
Yeah. So it's about 450 a month organically, sometimes as much as 600 a month. And so you can see, I could pull the analytics for you and find out how many 681 clicks is probably 15 leads is my guess.
Okay.
Not more.
Okay.
That's probably a 20 to 30 lead day actually. But let's just go back and look at how much that these 51,000 clicks are worth. And Google gives you the cost per click. So here's 64 cents, 23 cents, 14 cents, $1.15, 82, 34. You see what I'm saying? So maybe the average is 75 cents. So let's take 50,000 times 0.75. Those clicks are worth, $12,000 a month. That traffic is worth $12,000 a month. And matter of fact, it's worth more because organic traffic is more valuable than paid traffic.
Right.
Every single time. Every single time. So there's that. Let me show you my analytics. Let me give you some fresh data. So this is real time, and you can kind of see what's going on here. I want you to look in the top right here where it says active users last 36 minutes. It means we have 56 people on the website in the last 30 minutes. Now, some of those are from China, which I'll probably disregard immediately. But let's get you some good data. So last 30 days. Let's go back, get you a little bit more time frame here. Let's go, can I go last 12 months? No, of course. Let's just say last year and see how much traffic this thing generates. So you can see a spike here right around January 1st. And I think this is when the market itself kind of released and we had, interest rates going down, a little bit forward momentum going in 2026.
Yeah.
But look how many active users we've got, 255,000, which is up 21% year over year.
That's crazy.
It's just nuts. We had 629,000 page views. So that's pretty good, There's real traffic to be had there. And so I think, if I were to do this all over again, I'd focus on organic first because organic is going to help you really drive your cost per click down.
Okay.
And so let me just log into one of my ad accounts for you. And you guys get full access here, which I don't usually do. So if you look at my ad account, spend about 223,000, average cost per click, average about 34 cents, 5.6 million impressions, 656,000 clicks. Let me adjust the rate or how can we do this? I want to change the time frame. I haven't logged in a minute. Oh, here we go. Here it is. Somebody on Facebook Live is like, it's in the top right corner. I'm like, yes. Last 30 days, 1,600 clicks, 11,000 impressions, 16 cents a click. And I'm going to try and put in here, I thought we had conversions on this. We do.
And while you're doing that, it sounds like we may be a little bit blurry to some people on Facebook Live, so we are working on that, just so you know, and we will be posting this recording. So we're gonna keep bringing you this good.
Yeah, probably just it could be my bandwidth too.
It's all good.
But yeah, I'll give you an idea. So we spent $250. We got 64 conversions at $4 a piece, and so that's the last 30 days.
Awesome.
And so again, we're not even stepping on the gas.
Yeah.
And so. There's a lot of traffic to be had.
Yeah. So, and your results are amazing. You've obviously been doing this for a long time. Let's talk to the clients or the prospects who are either new to Sierra, have been with Sierra, a couple of years, and are just now, starting to focus more on this organic lead gen and their content. Aside from, understanding the site structure is super important, and we give you the ability to customize that and design it the right way. What are the next steps, and what are the next things that our clients should be looking at to do to start working towards the results that you're getting? Okay,
so we can talk about LLMs for 2 seconds, ChatGPT or Gemini. What I'd probably do is have ChatGPT or Gemini say, hey, I'm building out a Sierra interactive website, and where we can get some efficiency using the AI. Please give me a site structure for my metro area. And please include, all the top level and secondary level pages that I need to build, and, give me priority in terms of, what's getting the most traffic and what would be the best in terms of maybe getting organic traffic, right? Some kind of version of that question. Let Chat or Gemini or any kind of AI tool give you the site structure, build it out. So build the actual search pages first, then start adding in your content after. Okay, so at least what's going to happen is you're going to at least get indexed, and you might not rank. You're not going to rank, but at least you've got the framework. Then what I would do is I start strategically adding content to the higher priority pages first, and then I would start working on the lower priority pages second, and then I would start using Google AdWords to help you get and help Google specifically get data. And so one thing I've noticed is that when I started running Google AdWords, my site would get indexed more frequently. And as people started using my site more and more and more, Google had more data essentially, right? And so with that, they were able to extract, okay, this is actually a decent site. I'm going to give Karl cheaper clicks than his competition because we feel like this site has got trust and authority. And it matches that search better.
Right.
So you really want to catch those long tail searches.
I love that strategy. So if I'm hearing you correctly, do both at the same time. Work on the organic, do the Google pay-per-click, because although the Google pay-per-click is going to be longer term conversion timeline, the idea is using that to drive additional traffic to your site. So the search engines are seeing that traffic. So you're not going to see, you may not see those conversions in the next couple of months, but what you will see is the increased traffic to the site, which is then going to help your organic strategy.
Yeah. And I think it's really important, Scott, to set proper expectations, because I need you to understand that organic traffic is going to happen. It's a long-term play.
Yeah.
That's going to be a year, 2 years out. So you're investing in your future. Pay-per-click is investing in today. And so what I don't want to have happen is that somebody gets frustrated with their Sierra site and they say, well, this doesn't work. This doesn't work for me. And look, it works. You just got to give it time. PPC is going to bridge the time between day one and the day that you start ranking organically and getting organic traffic that converts.
Cool.
Right? And it's going to feed you in the in-between. And so PPC might only convert at 1%. But let's just run the math. Let's say if you've got a poor converting Sierra site and your leads are $20 a piece, and it takes, call it 200 leads, because you're converting at 0.5% because you're really not, you don't have a good follow system yet. Your scripts really aren't dialed in. You're nervous on the phone. There's some outside factors there. So you're converting 1 out of 200 leads. And you're like, I'm not spending $4,000 to close a transaction. And I'm like, that's a mistake. It's called return on ad spend, ROAS, right? And so if I look at it and say, look, every time I put $4,000 into the slot machine and I pull that lever, it spits out a $12,000 commission. How many times am I doing that? And the answer is as many times as you possibly can.
Right.
And so, we have a decent sized team now. We get about 8 people running all these leads, and we do segment them, right? So we've got 4 working live leads that are coming in real time. And we use the Sierra round robin, okay? So we got 4 people that are working the older age leads, and they're getting their skill set built out. And so when we were really doing this hard and heavy, we were probably pushing, call it $10,000 a month on PPC spend. And especially when times were hot, and we were crushing it, man. We're crushing it. Even if leads were $10 a piece, $20 a piece, I'd write the check because I knew that money's coming back to me. And so, I'm trying to give you guys a shortcut because I think a lot of agents get frustrated and say, well, PPC doesn't work. And I'm saying, you don't have enough data yet. You don't have enough data yet. You haven't run 2,000 leads through to get enough data. And so keep in mind too that you're buying leads at the very top of the funnel. They're just in the discovery phase right now. So they're just trying to figure out where they want to live. And so you, as a good agent, your job is to really be the advisor in this situation, right? So, that's why I kind of catch those longer tail keywords too, because they've definitely figured out where they want to live and what type of house they want. It's a little bit better than like Phoenix Homes for Sale is very macro. That's a very beginning part of the phase. If it's like, I want to live in Arabella, Scottsdale, they know where they want to live. And so like, if you go back to like car buying experience, the macro would be like, I know I need an SUV. And then you start doing the research and be like, oh, I know I need the new Dodge Durango with the Wi-Fi thing and the sound system and, all the different features and benefits, right? So like the mind works the same way for buying a home. Yeah. They're going to go macro to micro. And so I want you to be that trusted resource.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. So getting back to what you started to say and starting your strategy off, leveraging the LLMs to design your site structure, is it safe to say that you could almost design where you want to work based on the priority of the pages that you build out? So you like these, or you're really familiar with these 3 subdivisions. Maybe you live in one of them. Can you sort of design that priority based on what where you want to be working?
100%. Yeah. I mean, if you want to work in a neighborhood, you should own that neighborhood. Yeah. And it's funny because we just did a training the Thursday before last, and I wish I had a way to distribute some of those trainings because they're really, really good. But we talked about Geo-domination, and this is one of the strategies I want you to use. So I want you to think about a buyer or a seller. Let's work with sellers first. If a seller is looking for an agent, the first thing that they're going to do is type in Arabella Phoenix Homes for Sale into Google. We come up number 1. And so instantaneously we have trust and authority, right? And then they open up their mailbox and they get an direct mail piece from you. And they just visited your website 2 days ago. And you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I would like to know how much my home is worth, right? And they scan the QR code, which goes to a landing page on Sierra. And now they can fill out the form and get a CMA. And then you can retarget them. So you can run retargeting campaigns. This is kind of a deeper level, but on Facebook and Instagram called Meta, right? You can retarget them on Meta or across the Google network. And now I'm serving them ads. That's like, want to know how much your home is worth. And they don't see my face, my bald head, 3 times. And then they, open up a shopping page on bestbuy.com and they're scrolling down through and I've got an ad on bestbuy.com because I'm using Google's display ad, network. And you have a lot of trust and authority built in. You're going to convert. So I want you to use it, Sierra as your hub. Your spokes are going to be the PPC spend, the direct mail, the meta ads, the retargeting ads, the email letters that are driving traffic back to Sierra site so that you can put a tracking pixel on these people and retarget them again. So I need you to understand that with the tools that we have today, it's so incredibly easy to find your ideal client avatar, but you need to define who that client avatar is. Right. And be careful what you ask for. And so we're gonna go off subject for 2 seconds, but I used to run campaigns for first-time home buyers looking for down payment assistance. I crushed it. We generated, I think, 2,000 leads inside of a month. 1 month on Meta, a single month. My sales team was overwhelmed and they're all like high-fiving and we're like, we're gonna be rich. This is great. Here's what happened. We got them all into the funnel. We started pulling credit. And we realized they all have 520 FICO scores. because they all need down payment assistance because they've never paid a bill on time.
Right.
Right. And so you got to be kind of careful what you ask for. So I really want you to focus on your ideal client avatar too, and really define who that is and why you want to work with them and why they should work with you. And that's really important. Talking about your features, your benefits as a real estate agent. Maybe you're the best negotiator, maybe you're the best marketer. Maybe you've got the #1 ranking Sierra website. So when the buyer for that listing goes into Google and types in Arabella Phoenix Homes for Sale, and you're #1, you're like, Bob Homeowner, I'm getting your buyer regardless. Whether you list with me or not, I'm bringing you the buyer. You might as well keep it in-house, right?
Right.
Built-in trust and authority. And so there's so much opportunity here. And I can't believe you guys are charging, I don't know what I pay, Scott. It goes on my Amex. I think it's $1,200 a month for a large team. You give the thing away for $1,200 a month. That has made me millions of dollars. Like, legitimately. I make a lot of money on this site. And full disclosure, I sold my company with the website attached to it. It was one of the largest exits in the Phoenix metro market in 2025.
Good for you.
Thank you. You know, and that's why we're here on a webinar today. Before I couldn't really give this away. But now I have no skin in the game, so I'm willing to give it all away for free. I want you guys to be successful. And so Sierra does not pay me for any of this, by the way. So like full disclosure, you didn't pay me a dime, right? I'm not a paid spokesperson. So true testimonial. I believe in the product. I believe in the service. And I believe in you as the agents watching this. But please take my advice. Put in the work. It will pay you for the next decade of your life. And it's, you know, it's the single best investment I can think of.
Yeah, and it's really a compounding investment, right? Like you're not going to see those results right away. To your point, it takes a lot of consistency in building the pages out on a regular basis. But as you start building them out, it's going to the results are going to compound on themselves until ultimately you're going to get to the point, you know, you could legitimately get to the point where you are because you did exactly that, right? So I think a lot of, I mean, look, I can say this, I'm an agent, right? Like a lot of agents look in the short term. They're not looking long term. And I'd be willing to bet everybody, the majority of the people watching this are probably planning on being in this business for the next 3 to 5 years at least. So you might as well start doing it now, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, every day that you're wasting. So I want you to think about it. Let's just say you make $1 million a year, which I think would be very conservative on the website, right? So that's $3,000 a day, roughly. So every day that you've delayed this week, you know, I cost you $6,000 by missing my flight, right? Because we had to push this back 2 days. I cost you $6,000. I just gave you $1 million playbook, $1 million a year playbook, depending on what market you're in. And so every day that you delay is $3,000. You might as well just write a check, $3,000 to whoever. It's gone, you know, because you can't make that time back up.
Yeah. Yep.
So
you mentioned in a different context, you mentioned hub and spoke, right? I'm hearing a lot about the hub and spoke design of the website. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about that because I'm guessing you didn't start designing your website like that. Maybe you did, but tell me a little bit more about as people start identifying what areas they want to work in, right? And I appreciate highlighting, and you know, everybody I talk to like yourself who's doing this at a high level and doing it very successfully, not every single one of them says to be as specific as you can, right? Don't go for Phoenix Homes for Sale. You're never going to rank for that, right?
No.
Swallow, you know, like, I don't want to say swallow your pride, but you've got to get super, super dialed in, and not only what your client avatar is, but the areas you want to work, right? Like this price point to this price point in these 3 areas. Sorry, I went off the rails a little bit there, but talk about the hub and spoke design. What does that mean, and what does that look like for you? And what do you recommend our clients do about that?
Look, there's riches and niches. And so I want you to think about like a laser. You know, so why is a laser so effective? Is because it concentrates a large amount of energy in a very, very small, limited area. But as soon as you hit a piece of glass and it diffuses, there's no power behind it. And the same thing happens with your website. If you try to go too macro, like you're trying to sell the entire state of Arizona, you're not going to win. So what I think I would like to do, I want you to build the framework first, right? So let's go back to using Claude or using ChatGPT or Gemini, one of the bigger LLMs. Have it build out the pages for you and download it in like an Excel spreadsheet. That's what I did essentially. Is I literally
great idea.
Paper, took a piece of paper and I just wrote down Phoenix, Levine, all the the areas inside of Phoenix Metro, and I started there. I built pages for them, and then I built out, like open houses for Phoenix, open houses for Levine, open houses for Gilbert, and then I went back and did 5 bedrooms, 4 bedroom, 3 bedroom, condos, 3 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 1 bedroom condos. And I built out all those pages first. So I built out the macro, I built out the framework. Then I started diving deep into the areas that I wanted to work, which was the higher end stuff, in Scottsdale. So I built out every single neighborhood in Scottsdale, which was like 95 or 98. It was just under 100 neighborhoods inside of Scottsdale. And then I built out all the condos in Scottsdale, which was like another 75 condo communities. But then I went around and I literally took my phone and I hopped in a Prius and I drove around and I took pictures of all the communities with the pools, like I went through each condo community and took pictures. And then I took pictures of like the front entrances of all the master plan communities. And I just took notes. I'm like, nice entry, guard gated, timed access, whatever it is, you've got like all the different amenities and stuff you can do.
Sure.
And I went back and I just wrote the content on my pages. And so, dude, go to kennethjamesrealty.com. There's the framework. It's already there. I'll give you a really good hack that I should probably not give out. kennethjamesrealty.com/sitemap.xml.
There it is.
That's literally my entire sitemap, which you could copy and paste into a freaking Word document or an Excel spreadsheet, and you've got my entire framework. And you can literally see it piece by piece. All the long search, all the short tail stuff, all the macro, all the micro, all the blog posts. By the way, I don't do blog posts. Like, you can look at my site. I've got a blog post that doesn't even have a picture on it. That's on there, right? Like one of my agents wrote it and didn't put a picture on there. Blog post is not going to help you out, right? People think that traffic is going to, they use traffic as a vanity metric. And I want you to get away from that. And so what I mean by that is, like, people are like, if my site gets more traffic, therefore I must get more leads. That is not the case. And so I figured out very early that blogs do not convert. Blogs do not convert. If somebody's looking for things to do in Scottsdale, Arizona, they're going to hit my website and bounce. They're not going to look at homes. Do I get that click? Yes. Do I get that impression? Yes. Cool. Good for branding. Not good for direct response. I need you to understand direct response and branding. They're two different functions, right? So I want you to think of blog, brand. Everything else, direct response. We make money in direct response in the beginning. Long-term is brand. So, God, that was a long-winded answer.
That's great. No, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was, I wanted to ask you about that, because I remember you posted about that. And people think I have different strategies on that. So I'm glad you were able to explain yours.
Yeah. What other questions do we have? Do we have any questions from Facebook Live?
I'm not seeing something about scammers. Do you get scammers that 100% into your site and then go MIA, or how are you following up with these leads?
Yeah, I don't care. So like you're first name Jesus, last name Christ. Happens all the time. Yeah. A lot of Jesuses out there, but I think for me, it's just a numbers game. Yeah. I get so many that it doesn't really matter, and it just rolls off the back. And people are like, I should block them from my site, dude. Don't spend energy on that. Right. Spend energy on it. Just mark it as do not call and move on. Like, junk lead, done. Yeah. Next. Yeah. Don't worry about spammers. Don't slow down for that. Well, I'm not seeing it. If anybody else has any other questions, put them in the Facebook chat. I'm actually looking at that now. But Karl, this is money, man. I can't thank you enough for being so willing to spend your time with us. I really appreciate your time and appreciate the value that you've offered. What closing statements do you have for people that, again, are looking at this and they're either overwhelmed or they know they should do it, but they're not? I mean, we kind of know, like, a lot of agents out there are doing everything, right? So to add this to their plate is just one more thing. So how would you like to close out for us? Yeah. So how I coach my agents, just for context, I've created over $1 billion brokerage. And I've mentored a lot of agents, and a lot of the agents that you've heard of if you work in Phoenix or Denver. And I'm not trying to brag, it's just trying to tell you, like, my mindset here. So what I always tell the agents, and the agents that follow through this tend to be more successful, is find a niche. And I want you to understand that you operate in two different segments. They happen to be related, but not really. You have a buyer pipeline, which is substantially different than a seller pipeline. And I think agents just think that I'm going to work with everybody, anywhere, anytime. And that's a huge mistake. I want you to create a buyer avatar. Now, buyer avatar is going to look like this. VA buyers in Phoenix, Arizona that need down payment assistance. FHA buyers looking for FHA approved condominiums in Phoenix, Arizona, between 350 and 500,000. Empty nesters between 55 and 70 years old in 85251, a zip code, right? I want you to really get down to the micro on it and start advertising to them, because it's so much easier to craft a message than trying to just blanket people with stuff. And really focus on a geographic area for your sellers. And direct mail is widely underused in our industry for whatever reason. I don't know why, because I think people don't. It takes a long time. So like the feedback loop is very long. But I need you to understand that it's a long-term play. You're worth the investment. Your business is worth the investment. Like, I don't know too many people that have been widely successful doing just organic content.
Yeah.
It's 1 in 10,000 or even worse, right? The statistic is terrible. So if you really want leverage, gosh, dude, we should do a training, because there's so much I can give you. I need you to think about leverage, right? Leverage is so important. If you want to get rich, you have to use leverage. Now, there's Naval Ravikant, go read it. But he talks about the 4 C's of leverage. But one of them is capital. And capital can really accelerate your earnings. And so invest into your money, or invest money into your business. And that could be PPC. It could be hiring assistants to help you build your Sierra site. It could be investing in courses to understand how Google Ads work. It could be so many different things, but use leverage. Okay, so we're going to say that. Get down to the micro and push hard, because this is the one industry, and I'll use my wife as a success story. I met my wife 17 years ago, and she's been with me since day one. In 2020, we had 8 Airbnbs, and she was doing all the management for it, and she was done, dude. She was done. COVID happened. We had the worst tenants in the world. We pivoted. We decided that she's going to sell real estate. She had never sold a piece of real estate in her life. She'd watched me do it. 2021, she gets her license. In 2024, she made over $1 million in one transaction and set records across the boards. So she sold the most expensive residential real estate piece in Arizona history.
No way.
Yes. And she'd only been in the business for 4 years, right? So if you think about it, this is the only industry that I know where you can make $1 million this year in 2026 if you pull the right levers. Mm-hmm. But the opportunity exists. You just got to go after it. So focus on 2 or 3 platforms, nothing more. Put your systems into place. Use Sierra. Use the CRM in Sierra, and you will win. You will win. Scott, we got to do this again. We got to do something.
Yeah, I would love to, and maybe we'll put together a webinar to go a little bit longer and dive into this stuff. I mean, this is amazing. I love it. We're getting great feedback on Facebook as well.
Cool.
Karl, man.
Yeah, follow me on social. So like, I give a lot of nuggets away on my Instagram. Just type in my name, Karl Freund. Sorry, I've got a terrible last name, but if you find me on IG, follow me on IG, and I do respond to messages too. So that's probably the best way to get hold of me. I would not text me because I get 5,000 texts a day, and so I don't check my phone anymore. But yeah, so cool. Wow. Honor and a privilege, my friend. Really appreciate it.
Again, man. Really, really appreciate it. Glad you're having the success that you are on Sierra, and glad we're able to help your business the way we have. Thanks again, everybody, so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it, Karl. Man, can't thank you enough. I'm going to connect with you again soon, and we're going to figure something else out to add more value to our ecosystem here. So thanks so much. Everybody have a great rest of the day and a great weekend.
See ya.